How to buy tax sale homes. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to buy properties at tax sale where properties are often bought, forget this, half price or even less. In today's video, you're going to learn how to do what we call due diligence, meaning checking out the property so you can avoid dangerous pitfalls. You're going to learn the surprising reason that it actually pays to do a lot of the work at the last minute. And you're going to learn about a resource so that you can go deeper and actually be a competent bidder and start acquiring these properties at tax sale for pennies on the dollar. Tax sales are auctions where you can buy properties where the owners haven't paid their taxes for 3 to 4 years, and you can get properties so cheaply at these sales, it's incredible. This property that you see on your screen, I bought this, get this, for $275 from the county at the tax sale. Now, there are actually 3 kinds of sales that are referred to generically as tax sales. There's a redeemable deed sale, there's a tax lien sale, and there's what we're going to talk about today, which is a normal tax sale. The normal tax sale is the sale where you buy the house, as opposed to a tax lien sale where you buy a lien against the house and you just get interest, or a redeemable deed sale, which is a type of sale where you might get the house or you might not, and that's something that's beyond what we're going to talk about today. Now, tax deed sales are held in 31 of the 50 states. California is one state where they sell the properties at tax sales. And take a look at this property. This will give you an idea of why you get such great bargains at tax sale. This property at 3732 Christian Lane was bought for $548,000 at tax sale. Now, it doesn't look like a big, amazing house, but it is California. And this house, after fix-up, was resold for, get this, $1.2 million. And now, I don't know the renovation budget for that house, but it's a very small house. So they didn't spend $500,000 fixing it up. That would be impossible. So if you think about that, how would you like to get a $1.2 million house for $548,000? And let's say, even being generous, you put $100,000 into it. That is amazing. And that's the kind of deals that you can get at a tax sale. Now, your first question might be, well, where do I get these lists of sales? And those are published online by the county that's doing foreclosures. For example, here's a list that I got from Fulton County, Georgia. You can see on your screen how you just do a quick Google search, tax sale list, Fulton County, Georgia, and this pops up. Now, the actual buying process is very simple. It's an open, generally voice auction if it's a live one, or a lot of times today they're being done online where you just put in your bid online as each property comes up. In almost all of these tax sales, you're going to get the property free and clear of mortgages and other liens. Now, that being said, you do need to check with each tax sale whether there are any kinds of liens that survive. An example of a kind of lien that survives, at least for a short time, is an IRS lien. So if someone didn't pay their income taxes, of course the IRS can enter a lien against them. With those, the IRS has 120 days to do what's called redeem the property. What that means is the IRS would have to come, pay you off for your bid, and then they would take the property. Now, I'll tell you that the IRS rarely does that, but what that tells you as a bidder is that you're going to get the property and then you're going to sit on it for at least 120 days to see if the IRS redeems or not. Chances are they won't. I've never seen them do it, but it could happen. So I don't want you going in, all rah-rah with a construction crew and fixing up the house, and then the IRS comes knocking on your door and says, hey, thanks for the fix-up, we'll take the house back. Now, if you do want to move that process along a little quicker, you can contact the IRS Special Procedures Branch and ask them for a release. They do that routinely, so that's an option if you want to do that. Just contact Special Procedures, ask them for a release, and they'll generally grant it, and you're fine, and you can go forward. Most important thing to know about these sales is you have to do due diligence, meaning you need to check out the property before you go and bid, because they sell useless pieces of land, they sell polluted pieces of land, they sell houses that are completely burned out, run down, collapsing into themselves, and they don't tell you anything. So you do need to just be careful and bid on things that you've checked out, meaning someone has physically gone by the property, taken a picture of it, written up a little condition report to see what kind of condition it might be in, check to see whether it's occupied or vacant. If you're buying, let's say, a vacant property, well, if you're in a cold weather area, like in the north where it freezes during the winter, I can almost guarantee you that that house has frozen over the winter and all the pipes are split, which means that you have, first of all, a lot of water damage, which is as bad as fire, and secondly, you're gonna have to redo all the plumbing, and that can be a mess. So you have to be careful with that. And so there's some theories where you'd rather have an occupied property because it's not gonna have those problems. So just be aware that you really do need to be careful. There's no open house, the sheriff doesn't open the doors and let you in on a Sunday to check it out. These are houses where it's just as is, where is, sight unseen. So what you need to do is drive by each property that you're going to be considering buying, look at it from the street, look to see if it looks occupied or not, look to see if the windows are square. If the windows are racked, which means twisted, it's the indication of a foundation problem, and those are serious problems. Probably want to skip that property and move on to the next one. Also look at the roof. If you see any holes in the roof, like say there was a fire and firemen had axed through the roof and filled it with water to put out the fire, that's, those aren't always the easiest to look at. You really have to look carefully and look for any signs of problems like that. If you see, black soot under the eaves, there's probably been a fire at the property. Then you're buying for land value, which might be okay, but just understand that's what you're doing. So you need to do your due diligence and you need to do it carefully, which is also the reason these properties tend to go very cheaply, because you can't know that much about them before bidding on them. Now, if you are a bidder and you're serious, you're going to drive by the house, get out of your car, knock on the front door, see if anybody's around. If someone's around, talk to them, find out if they're a tenant or an owner, find out what their plans are. And most importantly, if you're going to be bidding at the sale, try to get some idea of what condition that house is in. Ask if you can use the bathroom, for example, just to go in real quick and check it out. That'll give you an idea of what it's like. You need to do that due diligence. Also, don't ever buy commercial properties at a tax sale. Anything that was a factory, a warehouse, a dry cleaning plant, anything at all, don't buy them, because you can have environmental pollution. It could be a Superfund site. I've seen Superfund sites at tax sales. I had a friend who bought one and I had to help him get out of it because it was a terrible mess where the EPA wanted to do a cleanup. You need to be really careful with that, and just understand the safe route is buy the houses. Buy houses where it's a standing structure. You know that it can be built. It's got a house, so it's grandfathered in. You don't have to worry about like zoning approvals and things like that. And it's not going to have big environmental problems that you can't deal with. Worst thing you see in a house with environmental problems is either if they used it to make meth, that's a problem. Obviously, it's expensive. And the second thing is if the underground storage tank leaked for oil, for home heating oil. But that's pretty small in the scheme of things, because that gets eaten by microbes in the soil and dissipates anyway. So anyway, not to get too far down the road, be careful. Check out the properties. Also, one really important thing, register in advance for the sale. A lot of these sales require as much as a week or two in advance that you register for the sale. You give them your information. Sometimes you have to make a small deposit, set up an ACH. You have to do that in advance. Do not show up at that sale either online or live expecting to bid, because probably you're not going to be able to bid. A lot of times they're checking to see, is this a person who's a slumlord, has a bunch of violations out against him? Is this someone who doesn't pay their real estate taxes themselves? A lot of times they'll ban you from bidding if you're in that situation. Now they'll explain all that to you. When you look on the auction site, like the one that I showed you earlier online, you'll see there's a terms and conditions of sale. And you can see it on the screen now. That's just an example one. They advertise those very clearly. Print it out for yourself, go through it with a highlighter, and make sure that you know what you need to do, and do it in advance. Do not wait till the last minute. Last minute is very bad practice in this business. Make sure you do that so that you can bid at the sale. Also understand, these are cash-only deals. You cannot get a mortgage to buy a property at tax sale. There are a couple of reasons for that I'll go over another time in a different video, but you can't get mortgages because there's no traditional settlement. You have title issues often with these properties. Again, I'll talk about that in other videos. So you have things that make it impossible for a mortgage company to finance them. So this is a cash-only deal. The benefit to that is that you get cheaper prices because it's not financeable. The detriment is you got to come up with cash. Now, often these properties are cheap, so you get great deals, but that is another part of these tax sales that just an interesting part and something you need to know about when you're getting into this business. One of the sort of hidden little gems here that you can do is, there are two that I'll give you today. One secret of tax sales is that people can sell their property up until the time it's sold at the tax sale. And that's called a pre-foreclosure deal, meaning prior to foreclosure. You can talk to the homeowner and see if they want to sell. If they sell, you do away with any competition at the sale. You do away with any title problems because you can get searches. You don't have any problem with the IRS liens or anything like that. Obviously, you would do a traditional settlement. There you can get mortgage financing, and that can be a better deal. That being said, it's time consuming, but you can get amazing deals with that. So that's one option. So if you're knocking on the door and the homeowner answers, see if they're interested in selling. And that's often a much easier type of deal to do. Lots of people won't sell, but some people will sell. And that's a great thing to ask about while you're there. There are also some legal problems with these properties, basically related to title. People can do things like file a bankruptcy after the sale. You'll still get your money back, but it can take some time. Often you have to do something called a quiet title action, so budget about $5,000 for that, or you have to go to a company called Tax Title Services that will offer title insurance despite their being a tax sale in some cases. So make sure that you're aware of those issues. Again, I'll cover that more in depth in different videos. Just stay watching my channel and we'll cover those different things. Bottom line with these sales though, you can get some amazing bargains at the tax sale, but you have to build up your knowledge and learn about this. At the end, I'll give you a free resource to help you go deeper in this. The deals can be incredible. You can get properties sometimes for 10, 20 cents on the dollar. You just can't get pricing like that anywhere else. But it's not free. You have to educate yourself, but an educated buyer at tax sale can get absolutely amazing deals. Now, I have a great friend of mine that's been buying properties at tax sale for over 30 years. Really amazing subject matter expert. I also buy properties at tax sales, but I've shifted more over to a business called overages that I do. But my good friend is a world-class expert. He and I sat down the other day, had a discussion about overages and more importantly for you today about tax sales. And he's a guy that can teach you the business. Now, when I started in business, I learned from a guy that was buying at tax sales in Philadelphia where I lived at the time, had amazing education and went to make millions of dollars in real estate. The way to start in this business is get yourself a mentor who really knows what they're doing to teach you the business. And generally speaking, I would tell you that's not something you should expect for free. It's something you should expect to spend your time finding the world-class expert, learn from them, pay them for the education. You know, people pay for good educations. You know, Harvard's not free, neither is Yale. And this guy is like Ivy League level for buying at tax sales. And he'll keep you from making mistakes, help you find the profitable deals from day one. It's really an Ivy League education in tax sales. So I sat down with him, we talked about tax sales, you can learn about that. And if you want to go forward with him, after you hear from him, you can certainly do that. So I'll put a link to that video at the end of this so you can click on that and learn more about it. Bottom line with tax sales, great deals are there. It's not something just go run in and bid indiscriminately, but the things you can do right now, go watch the interview with my buddy. And secondly, consider just watching a tax sale. You can always watch them. If they're down at the courthouse, they're fun to go to. You can check it out. Just leave your wallet at home. Don't go buying anything when you don't know what you're doing because you'll just lose your money. But watch it and then you can look and see what kind of properties are bought. Like I showed you the property in California that's bought a tax sale. There are all kinds of great deals at those tax sales and they're the cheapest properties you can buy. So it's worthwhile in the end, but like everything good in life, it's not free. It's certainly not effort free. But if you take the time to develop your expertise, you can have an amazing business and get properties cheaper than anything else. So this is attorney and investor Bob Diamond. It's been great having you here today. If you want to learn more about tax sales, just go ahead and click on the link and you can see that interview. Meanwhile, if you like this video and want more like this, please subscribe to the channel and I'll bring you more videos like this. So leave any comments down below and I'll see you next time.